Hey, welcome to the Sustainable Building Design and Construction class. We are studying for the LEED Green Associates professional exam and learning about all those things that impact the natural environment, the decisions that we make in the whole process of design and construction. And so when you think about sustainable design, it's really a bigger picture of everything: the water, the air, the energy that we use, the building materials, and the life cycle of those materials. So we'll be taking a look at how we can make decisions to affect the natural environment and our health and well-being in things like lighting systems, giving us headaches if it's too much light, or how those systems impact our environment. You can see that the outcomes are based on some of those things, like learning about the terminology that goes with sustainable design and construction, understanding USGBC, the U.S. Green Building Council, and the LEED certification, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design. We'll be looking at some of those. And also the difference between here certifying a building to be LEED Platinum, Gold, Silver, or certified, as well as the LEED Green Associates, which we're working towards, and other professional certifications. We'll take a look at how we can reduce environmental concerns and the overall footprint of design and construction, and evaluate the building materials, and not just talk about how the material is recyclable, but the whole life cycle of the material. So where does it come from? How is it created? How much energy is used to ship that material over to us, as opposed to growing it here, or where it's grown, and how does it go through the material's life cycle. That makes a big difference in the bigger picture. We'll get into more details about that. Water supply, wasting it, and what kind of systems we can use to protect that water and keep it clean, and also mechanical and electrical systems that will be energy efficient in our design and making those choices. We're going to take a look at the cost of using green material and calculate some of that. And again, taking a look at the lifetime of the building and the cost as it relates to that. So you might pay a little bit more for a better lighting system now, but overall it will benefit you within the years to come. You won't have to, for instance, change it out as often, and it might even be less harmful for that area. And we're going to include a little bit about using software to document the solar studies and energy analysis, like the BIM 3D modeling that goes through and helps you to document how much recyclable material that you use and some of the thermal properties of those materials. Okay, the book that we're using here is from the ATP, American Technical Publisher, and if you look at the inside cover, maybe 10 pages in, you'll see the digital resources that we can access. And so you can go to the atplearningresource.com website. You take a look at the code. I believe for this book it's 530408. You could probably use that either way. And so the quick links X code here, you can put that in there and pick submit. And what you'll get then is this book with some additional information, like quick quizzes that you can take for each chapter to kind of prepare for the Lead Green Associates, if you decide to take the exam, we'll talk more about that. I did take the exam about 3 or 4 years ago, and based on this class and all of the questions, it was easy enough to pass. I think I'll talk to you a little bit more about that as we get closer. Flashcards and internet resources glossary here, so you can take a look at and use some of these resources also. Another great thing about this book, which is recommended by USGBC for taking the exam and a direct resource from them, is that the chapters have key terms, the objective and key terms for that chapter, along with the definition of those terms, and at the end of each chapter, practice questions. So you have the terms, the definitions for those terms, and a set of questions. And the answers for the questions are in the back of the book, along with 50 other sample exam questions that will be of all the different chapters. So if you look at the back of the book on page 231, you'll see the 50 sample exam questions, and then on page 238 you'll see the answers to each one of the chapter questions, practice questions, and the sample exam questions. So it's not hidden from you. There's also a glossary in the back of the book explaining to you a lot of other terms that are within the book. So going back to the class itself, just keep in mind that this used to be called CNST 1030. When I first created it, it was for the architecture and construction, and that was one of the first construction classes. But since then, we've changed to the ARCH for architecture. Very excited about. In Canvas, we will post new information each Wednesday so that you can take a look at the direction that we're taking for within the assignments. We'll be looking at these lead credit categories, so I'm hoping you'll enjoy the class and discover things that you weren't aware of. Some are going to be kind of obvious things, but I was surprised at how much more I learned about being sustainable by research and taking a class like this that will go beyond what you might already think you know. So in Canvas, you'll see that I've also put the 50 sample questions from the book and answers so that you can start studying and taking a look at those questions. We are going to have quizzes that'll be based on those questions, and I paid for these questions that are supported by resources that are online. You'll see that there's some overlap, but it's the way that each question is asked, because when you take the exam, if you decide to take the exam, it's not going to be exactly the way that the question is asked in some of these test exams, but it's going to be more important for you to understand the concept, so it might be reworded, and we'll talk a little bit about that too. There's an additional source right here that comes right from the Detroit chapter, Detroit, USGBC Detroit region. So let's start by taking just a quick look at these certifications. You have a building design, you're working at it from the very beginning. The client is asking you to use sustainable concepts and work towards certification. You register the project with Lead Online. You submit the certification application and fees. The application is reviewed by the Green Building Certification Institute. Then the building becomes certified and receives certification decision. So it's a pretty straightforward here process, although it is a lot of work to document all of those points that we're going to be taking a look at. There are a lot of buildings out there that are uh, LEED certified, and you'll see it as you walk into the building. And we'll talk to you about a lot of those different buildings too. Like the Wayne State building that's right across from Macomb on 12 Mile is actually a gold certified, and we'll look at that as a case study. These are some of the impact categories that we are working towards to protect and restore water resources, protect the biodiversity and ecosystem services. All of these type of things, building a greener environment and economy. These are the categories that we're working towards when we design a project. Enhance human health and well-being, promote sustainable and regenerative resource cycles. All of this is information that is a part of this class. Enhance community social equity and the quality of life. So when we talk about our community working together, we'll look at some of those things too. Okay, so these are some of the credit categories, and each one you can obtain so many points. Sustainable sites, water efficiency, energy and atmosphere, material and materials, indoor environmental quality, like the air, and then innovative and regional priorities. There are 4 certification levels: certified, silver, gold, and platinum. And these are the points. And we'll take a look at how you can get those points. There are 5 main rating systems. So is it a home? Is it an interior design? Is it a new building design? Or maybe a neighborhood development? Subcategories, as we talk about the differences between schools and retail. So a LEED Green Associate credential is something that we can do. It's $100 for students, which is not that expensive in the bigger picture. The exam consists of 100 points. The test is scored out of 200 points. That doesn't necessarily mean that each one is worth, a certain amount. Some are more weighted than others, and we can talk about that a little bit too. You only need to have a score of 170 or above to pass that. So you don't need to be able to answer all the questions, but a certain percentage of those questions. After your exam registration, applicants have 1 year to schedule the exam itself. So you apply and then you schedule the exam. You get 3 chances to pass the exam within that year. And a lot of this is in the book we're going to be taking a look at. After passing the Green Associates, you must earn 15 continuing education hours within 2 years of earning the credential. So you get the Green Associates credential, and then they're asking you every 2 years to document that you became educated during that time. Now, beyond the Green Associates, you work with the company and you're starting to put together projects that are sustainable for clients. There are several architecture and construction firms out there that are working on this and have their own divisions for it. These 5 are specific to those different categories that we were talking about. So you have LEED AP. So if you see LEED AP, that means that they're specific and specialized in things like this, like building design and construction. And operations and maintenance, O&M, and interior design and construction, ID plus C. And so if you're LEED AP and D, it's neighborhood development and then homes.